Oh, 3, 2, 1. Hello world, I'm Dan Salem, live on YouTube, the BuzzChomp channel. I'm about to go live on Facebook. Boom, those are some sneezes. Boom. 3, 2, 1. Alright, boom. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Salem. I'm live at the Dan Salem on Facebook. BuzzChomp channel over on YouTube. Let me tweet this out from my channel before we dive into some NFL draft, and who's going number 1 next Thursday night. tweet. Alright, I'm tweeting it out from at the Dan Salem, and I will even hit the retweet button over here on BuzzChomp. So you guys can find us, BuzzChomp with 3 Z's on Twitter, at the Dan Salem on Twitter and Facebook. Over on YouTube, BuzzChomp. Also enjoy some comedy on Pillow Talk TV. Alright, we're talking about who's going number 1 in the NFL draft. It is all about the draft here today. And that's because next Thursday night is going to be the NFL draft. And, well, excuse me, but I have a young child at home, so she may be crying. No worries. Well, there are going to be a lot more mocks that come out between now and next Thursday. The likelihood of any big news dropping before actually on Thursday night is rather low. I'm here live Wednesday evening this week because circumstances abound and I was unable to go live for you guys yesterday. No worries. I'll have family time next Tuesday. So we are talking the NFL draft, and this will cover everything up until the draft, and then after the draft we have a ton of fallout to discuss. So basically everyone wants to know who's going to go number 1 to the Cleveland Browns. Will Cleveland pick the pick? Will they take Myles Garrett, defensive end, who everyone assumes they'll take because he's the best player? Or will they select a quarterback? These quarterbacks, there's a ton of them. 4 big names, which I'll get to in a second, and then a bunch of others that could go in the later rounds. And we know those later round quarterbacks, Dak Prescott last season, can really make a shining and star for your football team. So I will be writing with my brother Todd Salem, debating, I should say, for tomorrow, most likely, NFL Spin Zone, who are the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft. But ultimately, we want to know who's going number 1. Excuse me. If it's not Myles Garrett, who everyone assumes because he's the top player in the draft, defensive end out of Texas A&M, who probably should go number 1 because he's the best player and you should select the best available. If I were running a team's war room on draft day, I would select the best available player. That being said, all of the top, well, I guess not all of the top teams. Out of the top 10, everybody but the Tennessee Titans and Carolina Panthers could use a quarterback. I say that we got the Cleveland Browns at number 1, San Francisco 49ers at number 2, Chicago Bears. All 3 of those teams needed a starting quarterback. Jaguars, yeah, they're kind of out on Blake Bortles. Jets, yes. Chargers, Phillip Rivers got another season or 2, so bring in a rookie now to learn from him. Panthers, they could bring in Cam Newton insurance since he's coming off an injury. Tennessee Titans have a young quarterback, so they will not be drafting one. And then there's the Bengals, who got another year or 2 at Andy Dalton, so they could bring in a rookie to learn behind him. And the Buffalo Bills, who, again, re-signed their dude, Tyrod, but they only got a year or 2 with him, so they could bring in a rookie. So that's, out of the top 10, 8 of the 10 teams could go quarterback. And who's going to be number 1? If any other team but the Cleveland Browns were picking, I would say Myles Garrett would be number 1 pick. Now, that's the logical decision. It's the smart decision. It's the best decision. He's the best player. He's defensive end. He's the best player. Even if my New York Jets were number 1, they would pick him, regardless of the fact that they need other positions more. He's the best player. But this is the Cleveland Browns. And for whatever reason, Mitch Trubisky, quarterback out of UNC, has just been flying up the draft boards. Maybe it's his PR team doing wonderful work because he's shooting up all these mock drafts. Now, I don't know what he's done to earn this, because, I mean, he had a good pro day, but so what? Like, I mean, yes, that means something, but he is what he is. 13 starts, a couple of them shaky. Did well at UNC, but Watson at Clemson did infinitely better. Then Deshaun Kaiser out of Notre Dame is kind of fallen more under the radar now, and Patrick Mahomes out of Texas Tech has shot way up as well. So Kaiser and Mahomes are projected first or second round. Trubisky and Watson are projected first round. It is very likely that 3 of these 4 will go in the top 10 because, like I said, 8 of those 10 teams need a quarterback. Now, there are 10 better players than all 3 of those, or all 4 of those people. But quarterbacks are polarizing, and everyone wants to jump and get the rookie before he falls. But you want to take the best player available, and you want to draft for value. These quarterbacks are extremely valuable after the first round. They are not really value picks in the top 10 because they're probably not going to start right away, and there's a good chance they won't be nearly as good as you want them to be. But who will the Cleveland Browns take? Will they go with Watson or Trubisky? I really think that's their 2 choices. I mean, Garrett's the smart choice, but Trubisky, I don't want my New York Jets to pick a quarterback at number 6. And there's a lot of rumors going around that they're going to trade back, which is smart because then they could grab a quarterback later. But I'm not convinced Trubisky or Watson will be available after the 5th pick. I'm just... San Francisco's taking a quarterback. I think they're going to take Deshaun Watson, assuming the Browns don't. I think he's second. I also think that the Jaguars pick a quarterback. So, if Cleveland's smart and goes Myles Garrett, number 1, then I think San Francisco takes Watson, the Bears go defense, and Jacksonville takes Trubisky. Just because Trubisky has gone way, way up draft boards. And I think it's just tantalizing. He's got that look. He's got a Tom Brady about him, but he doesn't, I mean, who knows if he has the skills like Brady, but he has that aura in the media. And it's a sexy pick right now. He's a sexy pick. That's dangerous, especially with guys like Leonard Fournette, running back, Mike Williams, wide receiver, Lattimore, the cornerback, Hooker, the safety. I mean, Adams, safety. It is dangerous to pick a quarterback so early in this particular draft because there are studs at other positions who could really star and shine on your team. I know my Jets will pick best available. That's their MO. But the Browns, 49ers, and Jaguars, I feel like the Bears will not go quarterback. But those other 3, 2 of them are going to quarterback. They just are. Now, I found it interesting. My brother really liked Mahomes out of Texas Tech. And that's interesting, mainly because I'm not sure, like, I think he's going to fall. So I don't think he's going to be one of the top 5 picks. So if he's like the best of the bunch, and my brother knows his sports, he made a good argument. You'll have to read tomorrow after Dan Salem on Facebook. I'll post it up, our debate. NFL Spin Zone's the website. If he falls, like if my New York Jets are at 6 and they can trade back to like 10 or 12, and then they can pick Mahomes 10 or 12, or even with the 6th pick at the beginning of the 2nd round, that's a stud move. Like, I would love them to get Mahomes at the very beginning of round 2. I don't know if he'll be available to them, so they may be looking to trade back mid-round 1 to steal him. I'm also wondering, like, there's a lot of reports that the Jets are into Trubisky, but I'm wondering if that's like smoke screen. So, you know, smoke screen. You haven't heard much out of Cleveland or San Francisco, which makes me think they're probably going to make a quarterback move because they don't want to let it slip. But the Jets have let it slip that they're interested in these quarterbacks. They've actually worked out all of them, which means I don't think that they're going to pick one so early or they're going to make a trade. Sheldon Richardson is an excellent trade chip. I put a post up on BuzzChomp.com today of my New York Jets wish list for the draft. 3 things I was hoping they'll do. I'm hoping that they go best available with the number 6 pick if they keep it. I'm hoping they trade Sheldon Richardson because he needs a fresh start. He just didn't feel like he wanted to be a Jet last season, and if they hold on to him, he'll play out the last year of his contract. If he goes to another team, they get draft pick compensation next offseason. But he's expendable because he's not going to start on their defense, and he's excellent. So they could get a couple picks for him, especially if they package in the number 6 and Richardson. They could maybe get the number 10, and they could get a bunch. They package in that high first round pick also with Richardson. So I'm looking for them to trade him, and I want my Jets to pick a quarterback. But I don't want them to take the plunge. I think I put Trubisky as the picture for this because I think that he's going to be too much for the Browns or 49ers to resist. If he's still around, the Jaguars are taking him. They liked Bortles. They're going to go Trubisky. I just think it's happening. If he falls to the Jaguars, which decent shot because if the Browns are smart, they won't take him. And I think San Francisco probably goes Watson because of his championship pedigree. And like I said, I think the Bears go defense. So that's the top of the draft as I see it today. What else? So Trubisky, he came out as a junior. He's 6'2". Deshaun Watson's 6'2". Kaiser's 6'4". Mahomes 6'2". These quarterbacks, they're big now. They're tall. These guys are all over 220 pounds. That's the build of a quarterback now. You look at none of these guys are under 220. They're all over 6'2". And there's a whole slew of guys. Davis Webb out of California. My brother liked Brad Kaaya out of Miami as a sleeper. They're protecting him 3rd, 4th round. The Jets have gotten so much flack for picking a 2nd round quarterback, Christian Hackenberg, and then just seeing where he goes. Because apparently the 2nd round is almost as important as the 1st round. I mean, heck, you didn't go number 1 with the 1st round with him because you didn't think he was that great. You thought he was worthy of a 2nd round pick. So yeah, you can get a quarterback in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. The pressure's really off. You can develop the guy, and he has a real chance to prove everybody that, wow, he's a stud. You go 1st or 2nd round, and there are expectations, especially in the 1st round. But there are a lot of quarterbacks entering the draft. None of them really stand much out except for the first 4. Trubisky, Watson, Kaiser, Mahomes. The other guys will get potentially picked. They'll probably move to wide receiver or something. That's just kind of how it goes. You know the deal. You don't really get to play quarterback if you're not one of the top picks. Also in the news in the NFL world, Aaron Hernandez acquitted of a couple murders and then found dead. This sounds like a bad movie where someone murdered him in prison, but I won't say any more than that. As for the other studs in this draft, a lot of love for O.J. Howard, the top tight end. You don't get a stud tight end very often, and he's just standing out. There's a lot of speculation. Maybe the Jets would grab him. I could see the Bears taking him. He's a standout at a position where there are very few standouts, and he's in a position to make an instant impact. A lot of these guys, you expect a couple of the defensive players or someone like Howard or the running back Fournette, McCaffrey, to be able to come in and make an instant impact. Todd and I picked our top 3 rookies for fantasy football this coming season, and I love Howard. Regardless of what team he ends up on, I think he can have an instant impact and be a real reason. But he's going to have an instant fantasy impact. I really, really like him. He's the best receiver in the draft. He's got to be hard to pass up for some of these early first-round teams. I know they're going to go defense, but whoever lands Mike Williams, if he falls into the middle rounds, hell, if the Raiders get him, it's over. Derek Carr, MVP with that wide receiver core. That's crazy. They can get Howard, it's over. Because these guys are studs, and they're going to be studs early from the beginning, often, first week of the season. Questions. Anybody with questions for moi? All right, anything else in the NFL world? And then I'm going to talk about a little bit of other sports action because there's a lot of other stuff going on. Anybody realize that the MLB season's going? Anybody realize the NBA playoffs are on? It's hard to even realize with the NFL draft just about a week away. There's also some major free agents still available, like Adrian Peterson is still available, Darrelle Revis is still available, Jamal Charles is still available. These guys are going to sign, right? I mean, probably after the draft, but I gotta believe that they're gonna sign and play. These are Hall of Fame quality players. Oh, and I see a headline that Phil Simms, who got booted from his job without being told by Tony Romo, is headed to into the CBS studio for NFL Today. So he's still going to be working for CBS and now be in the studio. He got banished from play-by-play. Banished, I don't know. We'll see. I kind of think Romo will end up in the studio too. I think he'll do decent, but how about not telling a guy that he's kind of been fired from his gig because he still works for the company, and then just announcing that his replacement is replacing him. And his son, Phil Simms' son, had to tell Phil, "Hey, Dad, I read on Twitter that someone else has your job now." That freaking blows. Whoops. Yeah, it so blows so much I almost knocked the camera over. Tough break for Mr. Simms. Take Myles Garrett first, then trade up for Trubisky. Yeah, the Browns got 2 high picks in the first round, so they got a lot of maneuvering that they can pull off. They got a lot to work with. It's kind of impressive how much the Browns have this draft. They've just been tons of picks, and they got a young team. They got a shot to actually put something together over the next 5 years, but we'll see if they can pull it off against the freaking Cleveland Browns, right? And the NBA playoffs are interesting. Celtics in a 2-0 hole against the Bulls. Apparently, Butler's is amazing, obviously, but then Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo have found themselves again, and that threesome is kind of just dominating the Celtics. I mean, the Celtics were number 1 team in the East. I don't see this being a sweep by any means. I have a feeling it's going to go 7 because the Celtics are better. But man, if this is old school Rondo and old school Wade with Butler, that's a tough out. That's a tough out. Most of these other series are early. They're 1-0 or 1-1. So it's. I mean, they're the first round. The higher seeds should win all of them. But we'll just see if there's any upsets, like Bulls upsetting Celtics. That would be an 8-1. Like, that never happens. Never. So that's a major upset alert there. Major upset city. MLB, my Yankees are hot. They had won 7 in a row before falling yesterday. It's good stuff. And this is just, it's fun. I mean, they got a young team. They're 4-1 right now with 2 outs in the 4th. Good stuff, good stuff. What's the standings look like? I know the Yankees aren't in first. They're like 2nd in the AL East. Tied for first. I should say that. They're tied for first with the Orioles and Red Sox with a plus 20 points differential. That is amazing. They're 8-2 in the last 10. Plus 20 is the best in, almost the best in baseball. Cincinnati Reds are plus 21 and the Dodgers are plus 20 as well. For some reason, the Dodgers are plus 20, which means they've scored 20 more runs than their opponents, and they're third at 7. And they have a 7-8 record. The Colorado Rockies have a negative 6 point differential, and yet they are 10-5 and first in the division. I don't see that holding. Some of these, some April records are just April records, and then they kind of fall by the wayside. I don't believe in the Rockies or Diamondbacks. Arizona does have a plus 16 differential right now, so they may keep it together. But the Rockies with the negative 6, they're not going to hold on to first place by any means. No way. And then Cincinnati, I mean, wow, really? That's impressive. They're almost 2 games up on the Cubs right now. And I'm very happy with how my Yankees have been doing. Detroit Tigers, 8-5, but they got a negative 13 differential. They're going to fall back to earth as well. I don't see them staying atop that division for very much longer. But I've been happy. This youth movement for the Yankees is working out well. The pitching is what's really come together because you all know, I mean, you need pitching. You need to get pitching to win games, and that's where that plus 20 comes from. They have not been giving up a ton of runs. They've been scoring a lot of runs. It's fun. It's fun stuff. But back to the NFL. My hopes for the draft. I hope that the Browns pick the best player with the first pick. If they, or I mean, maybe they'll trade it, but I hope that they pick the best player available. I mean, Cleveland has been such a pained franchise. I would love for them, like, to actually turn the corner. And because they have 2 first-round picks, like the first and then I think the 12th or 16th, something like that, they can pick a quarterback and still get the best players. They could even wait until the second round to pick a quarterback. Whoa, slow down, man. That's just unheard of. No, it's not. Come on. I mean, this is not New York City, so if they pick a second-round quarterback, I don't think the expectations will quite be there like they've been lumped on Christian Hackenberg for the Jets. As a Jets fan, I want my team to get a quarterback, but I want them to get a couple big-name talents. I'd love to see them fill in the hole in their secondary, maybe grab a running back. A pass rusher would be awesome. I mean, I love a lot of these guys. Mike Williams at wide receiver is a stud. So you can't go wrong. What you can go wrong is reaching for a quarterback, but somebody's going to do it. A couple people are going to do it. My money is on the 49ers and Jaguars doing it early. So that means Trubisky goes 4th. I like Watson going 2nd. First should be Myles Garrett. If it's not, it's probably Trubisky because the Browns could not resist. Woo! All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. This has been fun. I am live 5 p.m. Pacific, usually on Tuesdays. Today is Wednesday, but who the F cares? I will be waiting on pins and needles like the rest of you next week for the NFL Draft on Thursday night, and then I'll be back on Tuesday to discuss it. Oh, it's going to be an amazing bunch of news and notes to sift through. This has been fun. Thank you, guys. I'm Dan Salem, at the Dan Salem on Facebook, at the Dan Salem on Twitter, over on YouTube, BuzzChomp, Pillow Talk TV. Oh, man, we've been making fun of Donald Trump, and it's been amazing. Thank you, 5 p.m. Pacific, Tuesdays, live, awesome. Good night. Oh, I got to hit the finish button. Trying. There we go. Now for you. I'm still here.